1. A walk after midnight. It was one of those nights when the air feels thick. Not with fog, but with a strange heaviness, like the world was waiting for something to happen. The street was nearly deserted. A flickering street lamp buzzed above, casting a faint orange glow on the cracked pavement. The only sound was the soft crunch of my shoes on the wet sidewalk. Each step echoed a little too loud, like the night was listening. I shouldn't have taken the long way home. The wind moved through the trees with a whisper, like hushed voices murmuring just beyond comprehension. And though I couldn't see anyone around me, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Not in the casual, passing way. No, this felt deliberate. As I turned the corner near the old grocery store, long since abandoned, its windows blackened like empty eyes, I stopped. Because I saw him. He stood perfectly still under a streetlight, not moving, not blinking, dressed in a wrinkled gray suit, too thin for the cold night. His arms dangled at his sides like they didn't belong to him. But it was his face that pulled all the warmth from my body. He was smiling, a wide, frozen, unnatural grin, like a mask stretched too tight. His eyes were open, unblinking, empty. For a moment, neither of us moved. The street lamp flickered once, and in that brief second of darkness, he leaned forward, like he knew I was watching. Part 2. He starts to move. I froze, not from the cold, but from something deeper, an instinct older than thought, like a voice from inside my bones, whispering, "Do not run, but do not stay." The street stretched empty behind me, and yet I couldn't tear my eyes away from him. The smiling man hadn't moved, not yet. Still standing, still smiling. But something about the way his shoulders leaned, the tilt of his head, it felt like a silent question. Are you going to run? Then he did something I'll never forget. He took a step. Not forward, not toward me. He took a step to the side, as if he were sliding across the sidewalk, inch by inch, still smiling, still watching. Tap, tap, tap. His shoes made a delicate clicking sound, like a metronome in a quiet room. Not hurried, not loud, just rhythmic. And with each step, he never blinked, never looked away, like his smile had locked him into place. I turned my head just a little. Behind me, empty road, dim lights, silence. When I looked back, he had gotten closer. But I hadn't seen him move. No footsteps, no sound, just closer. My breath quickened, and suddenly, the soft hum of the streetlight above became deafening. The cold bit at my skin like needles, Then I noticed his hands twitching, the fingers curled and uncurled, as if they were stretching awake from a long, unnatural sleep. That was when I realized something else. He wasn't just smiling. He was trying not to laugh. Part 3. Run and he'll follow. My heartbeat was no longer in my chest. It was in my ears, in my throat, in my legs, begging me to move. But I couldn't, not yet. He was still standing, maybe 20 feet away, his feet angled ever so slightly to the side, like he hadn't finished deciding whether to chase me or just watch me fall apart. And then he arched his back, just a little, enough that his face tilted up toward the sky, and his smile grew wider. A sound escaped his throat. Not a laugh, not a word. It was like air pushing through cracked lips, a hiss that didn't belong in any human throat. And then he moved. Not a walk, not a run, a glide. Fast, silent, too smooth to be natural. Like someone had cut a few frames out of reality, and he had jumped closer. I stumbled back. A trash can clattered behind me, startling a cat that hissed and bolted down the alley. The sudden noise broke the air like a gunshot, and in that instant, the world blurred. Streetlights became comets overhead. My breath tore out of me in ragged gasps. But I didn't dare look back, because every cell in my body screamed, if you look back, he'll smile bigger. If you look back, he'll be right behind you. I turned the corner, slipped on wet pavement, crashed into the side of a dumpster. Pain flared in my shoulder, but I didn't stop. I reached a gas station. Lights still on, doors locked. I pounded on the glass. No one came. Then I turned slowly, and the street behind me was empty. No footsteps, no laughter, no man, just wind, and that strange, choking silence that comes right before something terrible happens. Part 4. The empty street. The gas station's fluorescent lights flickered above me, cold and indifferent, casting long shadows across the parking lot. I stood frozen, my hand still pressed against the glass of the locked door. Inside, a faint radio played static and muffled country music. A half-empty cup of coffee sat abandoned behind the counter. But the clerk? Gone. The street behind me? Still empty. No footsteps. No glide. No smiling man. But that didn't mean he wasn't there. You know that feeling? When someone's standing behind you? Not touching, not breathing, just watching. That's how the air felt. Tense, electric, like it might tear apart any second. I backed away from the door, my legs weak and trembling. My phone was still in my pocket. I pulled it out, hands shaking so bad I almost dropped it. No signal. 0 bars. I looked around, and that's when I noticed something. Something I hadn't seen before. Across the street, beneath a flickering lamp, Stowe, silent, facing away from me. He wasn't smiling now. In fact, he wasn't moving at all. Just standing there, as if someone had pressed pause on a person. The wind howled, dry and sharp. Leaves scattered around his feet, but his coat didn't move. I blinked, and then he turned his head. Only the head. Slow, bone-cracking slow, until that awful smile returned, stretching unnaturally wide across his face. His eyes never blinked. They never needed to, because he already knew. He knew I was going to run again, and he knew where I'd go next. Part 5. No one helped me. I ran again. This time I didn't stop to breathe, didn't stop to think. Just ran until the cold sliced into my lungs and the world became a blur of empty storefronts and flickering street lamps. And still, no people, no cars, no sound but my own frantic footsteps and the whispers in the dark. I turned into a side street, hoping, praying for someone, anyone. Then I saw her, an old woman, pushing a cart full of cans, wrapped in layers of rags. She was real. She had to be. I stumbled toward her, gasping, "Please, I need help. There's a man following me. He's not right." She looked up. Her eyes were glassy, not blind, not confused, just empty. And then she spoke. Her voice was calm, too calm. "You saw him, didn't you?" My blood ran cold. "He follows those who walk alone, smiles because he's patient, doesn't run, I took it with trembling fingers. It was a picture of a man, tall, in a black suit, head tilted slightly, smiling that same impossible smile. But the photograph wasn't old, not really, because I was in the corner of the image, blurry, running, my face frozen mid-scream. I looked up, horror flooding every nerve. The old woman was gone. Just the shopping cart, still creaking slowly back and forth, as if pushed by the wind. And from behind me, somewhere too close, a voice like silk tearing in half. "You look better when you're afraid." Part 6. He never left. The whisper was so close, I felt it in the back of my throat. I turned, but of course, he wasn't there. Just the wind rustling dead leaves on the pavement. Just the hum of a street lamp flickering like it was afraid too. Just me, standing in the center of a street that no longer felt like Earth. I dropped the photograph. It curled on the ground like it didn't belong in this reality. I kept walking. I don't remember when I stopped running. Maybe because I knew I couldn't outrun him. He wasn't a man. Not anymore. Maybe not ever. I passed another store, abandoned, its window covered in grime. But something moved behind the glass. A reflection, not mine. I stepped closer, trembling. In the window, I saw myself. But next to me, a tall, thin shadow, unmoving, smiling. I turned. Nothing. I looked back at the glass. No sound came out. It was like the air had thickened, like I was screaming underwater. I stumbled back, away from the window, into the center of the road again. And then the lights began to go out, one by one. Each street lamp behind me blinked off, as if being devoured by the dark. Click, click, click. The darkness chased me again, not with footsteps, but with silence. I ran, but the street was looping. Same store, same broken sign, same window, same reflection. He was right behind me now. I didn't need to look. I could feel it. His smile stretching toward me like claws. Then a door appeared. A real door. Open, lit. I threw myself inside, slammed it shut. Darkness pressed against the other side. I was safe. But then I turned around, and on the wall, scrawled in something red and wet, "You came to him alone. You leave him never." Part 7. Don't look behind you. I slammed the door behind me and froze. The room was wrong. No windows, no lights, yet the air shimmered with a faint yellowish glow, like the walls themselves were alive and watching. The silence wasn't quiet. It pulsed, heavy, unnatural, like all sound had been swallowed whole. I pressed my back against the cold wall, chest heaving. Then I heard it, a laugh, soft, dry, like someone trying to remember how to laugh and failing. It came from the corner, then another, from behind the wall, then right behind me. I didn't turn. I didn't breathe. Don't look behind you. The voice wasn't spoken. It was inside my head, clear, icy. Something was standing there. I felt it, its breath cold against my neck. I opened my eyes. The wall across from me, my shadow was on it. Only it wasn't my shadow. It was taller, its head tilted too far to the side. Its grin, that horrible grin, long, ripped, stretched from cheek to cheek like someone had carved it in. The shadow moved, but I didn't. It raised a hand. I stayed still. It reached toward its throat. I felt pressure, tight, crushing. I couldn't breathe. And the worst part, I still hadn't turned around. Part 8. The reflection. My lungs screamed for air, the invisible grip tightening with every second. I was suffocating, Yet still, I dared not turn around. The room's eerie yellow glow flickered, shadows dancing across the walls like restless spirits. Suddenly, a faint whisper broke the silence, barely audible, like the rustling of dead leaves. "Look at me." The voice was smooth, sinister, seeping deep into my mind. Against every instinct, my head slowly turned, just a fraction. And then I saw it, not behind me, but in the cracked mirror, leaning against the wall. The smiling man stood there, just inches from my reflection. His eyes were black pits, endless voids swallowing light. To run, to break the glass, but my body was frozen, trapped between fear and disbelief. Then the mirror shattered. The sound echoed like a scream inside my skull. Darkness swallowed the room. And in that darkness, I heard it again. That terrible laughter. Part 9. The escape that wasn't. Darkness wrapped around me like a suffocating shroud. My heart pounded louder than ever, each beat echoing in the hollow silence. I stumbled forward, blindly searching for any sign of light or an exit. But the walls seemed to close in, shifting with every step. A cold breeze brushed past my ear, whispering, taunting. Then, from the depths of the dark, that grin appeared, floating, looming, impossible to ignore. The smiling man's voice slithered through the air like poison. "You can't leave." I screamed, my voice cracking, but no sound escaped. It was as if the darkness had stolen my breath. Desperation clawed at me. I reached out and slammed my hand against a cold surface. The door. It creaked open. Blinding daylight spilled in, warmth flooding my senses. I bolted outside, lungs gasping for air, heart pounding like thunder. Behind me, the door slammed shut with a finality that echoed through the trees. I didn't look back, but deep down, I knew. Smiling man was still watching, waiting. And somewhere, in the shadows, that smile was never truly gone. Part 10. The smile that follows. Days passed. The sun shone, birds sang, and life seemed to return to normal. But every night, as I lay in bed, I felt it. A presence, a watching, a cold breath on my neck. I told myself it was just fear, just a nightmare. Until I caught it, a reflection, not in the mirror, not in a window, but in the dark corner of my eye. A faint, twisted smile, that same terrible grin. And then I realized the truth I'd been avoiding. The smiling man never left me, because sometimes when you run from the darkness runs with you.